What's going on, everyone? My name is Josh.
My name is Taylor. Josh is feeling a little down right now.
Yeah, I'm a little frustrated at the moment.
So we basically just sat here and talked for almost 20 minutes and realized that Josh's microphone was not picking. He's like, this just isn't looking quite right. And so we messed with it and we paused it and we replayed it and Josh's mic was not picking up. So
it was showing that it was connected to the receiver, and yet it wasn't coming through. So.
And now we've retested it. That does not. This looks way better than it doesn't look like what it looked like last time.
It's completely different now. So
yeah, it looks normal now, but it's all good. It's all good.
Wonderful.
It's fine. It's fine. You can refresh, deep breath. And...
Yep. Okay. So,
but I'm excited what we're talking about today. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, we just had a good back and forth going as well. So. All right.
It'll be just fine.
Today, okay, so a couple of things. Actually, there's some things that we missed to talk about anyway. So, we are going to be stepping foot. You want to make fun of me for that one?
I wasn't going to say anything.
We're going to be stepping foot onto the Disney Dream for the second time, but this will be our 11th Disney Cruise.
Yes. It'll be our first time as Platinum Castaway Club members officially. You don't get the benefits until after you've reached that status. So now we are officially Platinum Castaway Club members. We reached it after we completed our, what cruise was that?
The Treasure.
Yeah. They told us it wasn't going to count, and it did.
Yeah. Excellent.
That was awesome.
And you might wonder, like, what do you get as a Platinum member? Well, you get a brand new lanyard, and that's really about it. So actually, you also get $50 per person to Palo.
Credit to eat at Palo. You get priority booking for activities and excursions. It's earlier than other people.
Slightly.
No, but we pretty much got our pick of when we eat at Palo, though.
That's true.
Which normally doesn't happen. Yeah. So that
Cabanas were gone, though.
Cabanas were gone. I did check just in case, because not that we needed them.
Not
that we were going to do it, but I'm like, let's just see if they're available because they've never been available for us.
Yeah. So, with that being said, though, I do want to remind everybody that we do have a group cruise next year, May 2026, on board the Disney Fantasy. So, if you'd like to join us, we'd be happy to have you. We just had a new, another couple join.
Michael and Gina are joining us now.
Signed up.
Along with a bunch of other people. I think there's like just over 20 people now going on this group cruise next May. It's going to be very, very exciting. We've got we've got Chris and Sarah, who have been on every single one of our group cruises. They are going, and then a bunch of other friends that have been on other past group cruises. So, but this will be a first Disney group cruise for all of us together.
Yeah. So we'll actually have, I'll actually also have, I haven't really talked about this, but we'll have pins for people. So
pins for people.
Pins for people. So there'll be new cruisers. Like with the group, obviously.
Oh wait, are you gonna actually do the pins?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
we've been talking about this.
Yeah, then we'll have pins for people who have done like kind of like
listen, if you've been on Norwegian with your status, with your loyalty status, you get a pin.
Right, instead of a lanyard.
But you get a pin every time you get on board. Or you can if you go to the desk and ask for it. And so we were like, oh my gosh, wouldn't this be cool if we did something like this? And so we're going to do it. We've been talking about it for a while. I didn't know you were going to make that official.
Yep. Yeah. The first official one will be for Hawaii. People will get some pins.
So we got to get like some for the people that have been on all the cruises. They got to get like special ones.
I think we only have one couple that's been on, two couples.
Alan and Lisa.
Alan and Lisa have been on every one.
They're not booked for the Disney Fantasy though next May. So, but they've been on every other one.
Yeah. So, okay, cool. Well, if you're interested in doing that, there should be a link in the description below, or you can email Taylor, or you can email myself, and we'll get you all set up to join us. So it should be a lot of fun. With that being said, we are stepping foot onto the Disney Dream, and with that is Embarkation Day. It's right around the corner for us, and I thought that this would be a really great topic for us to kind of sit down and talk about just Embarkation Day.
And this is Embarkation Day in general, not just for Disney Cruise Line.
Right.
It is pretty standard across the board how an embarkation day works. Your check-in time might vary from cruise line to cruise line, but yes, it's all pretty standard, and we think this is a really important topic.
Yeah. I mean, once you've done it once, you've done it many times. Okay, it really is whether you're
we'd
sailing
like to think
from
so.
whether you're sailing from Florida or in Iceland or in Barcelona or in Alaska or Japan.
I guess
While
Seattle, not
the culture
Alaska.
and the language is very different, the standard like operating procedure is basically the same. So don't be stressed. I always see people, they're so stressed about it. They're always so like worried. They don't know what to do, how things work. We're going to talk about that. It's really easy.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier too, that if you don't know, every cruise, another guest will make a Facebook group that is dedicated to that cruise specifically. So we have one for the Disney Dream for June whatever to whatever 2025, and it is only for people that are sailing on our ship. Of course, there's probably other stragglers that join in there, but it's everybody that's going on the cruise. And people have been talking about Embarkation Day the last few days. And one of the questions was, what time am I supposed to get to the port? And I'm like, I feel like this is really important information that you should already know.
Right.
However, it is good that they're asking a few days before and not on the day of the cruise.
Absolutely.
So I will give them that.
So breaking down Embarkation Day process, to make it as smooth as possible, there are some things that you need to consider before we get to the day of our embarkation. And the main thing that Taylor was highlighting is online check-in.
Yes.
Now,
very important.
Online check-in for almost every major cruise line now is done digitally. It's done online. It's done most of the time through an app. You can't usually do it on a computer. Some you can. But for the most part, they want you to do it on their application. So Disney has the cruise line or the Navigator app. Royal Caribbean has an app. Norwegian has an app. Yada, yada, yada.
They all have an app.
The only one that we didn't do an online check-in would have been Margaritaville at Sea. No online check-in, I think. They just give you basically printed you like have documents you can print. So, but for the most part, that's how it's going to operate. Now, you might be saying, I just booked my cruise and it sails tomorrow and I can't do my online check-in. What do you do? This actually has happened to us once before. Really? It actually happened. Yes, we didn't do check-in in time and they closed check-in. And this was when we did a FAM opportunity with Norwegian on the Dawn or on the Pearl, maybe.
Oh, I don't even remember.
Whatever one went out of Miami. Because remember, we didn't have luggage tags. We couldn't figure out when we got there where we were supposed to take our bags at and to begin with.
I barely remember.
We rolled our suitcases through security and rolled them up onto the ship. Our full suitcases.
Did we really?
Yes, we did.
Wow.
Yeah.
That wasn't Margaritaville?
No, that was Norwegian. Because we parked in that garage, and I was like, well, I hope the car's still here when we come back.
Yeah, I remember.
And it was, thank God.
Yeah, it was.
So if you can't do online check-in, you will be able to do it at the port. However, understand something, that the process is going to be intensive. But
it's going to take a little more time. It's going to take a while. It's not like you just show up, you show your cruise docs, and then you go through security and you're able to get on the ship. You're going to have to stand there and they're going to have to manually verify every bit of information before you can actually go through security and get on the ship.
Yeah.
But online check-in, it varies from cruise line to cruise line when the actual check-in is. So I was just emailing a few people the other day. Their online check-in is for Royal Caribbean is 45 days prior to a sailing. And I was also emailing people for Norwegian. Their online check-in is 21 days prior to the sailing. And all of the check-ins, they actually start at midnight Eastern Standard Time, which makes a huge difference. If you stay up and do check-in at midnight versus if you do check-in at 9 o'clock in the morning after you get up and you're up moving around for the day. Do it at midnight if you can, because you'll have more options to choose from. But with your online check-in, make sure you have whatever documentation, your identification, whatever you're using for that. We recommend you use a passport no matter where you're cruising. So we always have our passports, a credit card, or whatever card we're going to have on file. We have a selfie either ready or we have lights on so that we can take a selfie to upload. And then you also need to have your your mom, your emergency contact. That's what it is. You need to have their name and information. So have those things ready to go before you do your check-in. It will make it a lot easier. But for the most part, you can actually select your port arrival time, which is very important. Select that before you do the rest of your process if that is an option for you. If not, go through as fast as you can, get all that information in there, and then make your selection for your port arrival time and pick the earliest time possible, because that just means you get to start your cruise as early as possible on that day.
Yeah, it is also important too, because sometimes, I don't know why, but people don't think to like look at their driver's license or look at their passport.
And they're like, oh, it's expired.
Oh no,
it expires tomorrow.
You're in trouble. So it is important.
Speaking of, I need to renew my driver's license.
Yeah, you do. We've been talking about it forever. With that, you use a passport. So
it's not expired, but it's getting there.
So with that being said, once you've done online check-in, which is important, we are now to the point where pre-cruise, like pre-embarkation day, so you're traveling to the port. For Taylor and I, we oftentimes would drive from Orlando down to Fort Lauderdale or to Miami or to Port Canaveral. Rarely would we stay the night before, just because it is like a pretty manageable drive for us. Before we leave, wherever we are living, wherever we have all of our documents at, we need to check those documents and make sure that we have them.
Wherever we are living?
Like wherever we're at. Like,
I think you're also talking about like other people, wherever you're at. Too.
Yes. Yeah. So like, that's a thing.
You're putting many thoughts in together.
I know. But you want to make sure that you have those things, double and triple check that. Taylor and I will basically check each other. So, did you check for your passport? Do you have your passport? Yes, I have my passport. We'll get down the road like 10 minutes. Be like, do you have your passport? Yeah, I have my passport. Did it go anywhere? I don't think so.
I'm constantly checking my passport.
So make sure you have it, because you don't want to get here, obviously, to the cruise port and then not have those things. So it is really, really important to have those things.
You don't want to get here. Apparently, we're already at the cruise port.
I know, right? And just so you know, photocopies really aren't going to do you any good.
Do not bring a photocopy. They will not let you board.
Yeah.
If they do, you're lucky, and you better hope nothing happens.
I'm not sure why some people seem to think that like walking around, even when you are on the cruise, little side note here.
And you get off the ship.
Carrying around a photocopy of your passport.
It does nothing for you.
Really doesn't do you any good. You should just keep it with you at all times. I know that everybody's afraid of like being pickpocketed or dropping it and losing it. And does it happen? Yes.
But just don't keep it in your pocket. Put it in like a safe place in your bag.
Put it deep inside of your backpack or your bag or whatever you're carrying.
Don't leave your bag somewhere. Keep it on your person.
Exactly. So,
and this goes for children as well. They need to have the original copy, whether that is a passport or a birth certificate.
Right.
It needs to be the original copy, not a photocopy.
Right. Yeah. So we've checked our documents. We've got those things. We're arriving. We're getting here, whatever. It's time for embarkation day. The most important thing about embarkation day, number one, is going to be the port arrival time.
And that's what I mentioned about your check-in, because that is when you find out when you arrive at the port. So that person that asks, when am I supposed to show up at the cruise port? Well, that's your port arrival time that you get when you do your check-in. And you can do your check-in with most of the cruise lines up until like 3 days prior to the sailing.
Yep.
And then you don't have to deal with a longer process once you arrive at the cruise port. So select that port arrival time, which is the time you arrive at the port.
Yeah, and with
not
Disney,
the time that you board the ship.
And with Disney, you'll have a QR code, and that QR code, like
Royal has something like that too.
Says right on there what your port arrival time is, and you will have to show the cast member. If we're talking Disney, you're gonna have to show that cast member the port arrival time, and if it's your port arrival time is not till 1 o'clock and it's 10:30, they are gonna tell you that you have to wait. So it is really important. I think sometimes people seem to get this like confused for whatever reason. Maybe they're just getting ahead of themselves. They're full of excitement.
Probably.
And they think, oh, my port arrival time is 10:30. I'll be on the ship at 10:30. No, you have to arrive at the port at 10:30. And the whole reason for this is just to kind of like, break up everybody from not showing up all at once.
Yeah.
And crowding.
Crowd control.
It makes the process actually quite smooth and enjoyable for everybody.
Right. And you're also not waiting in lines the whole entire time you're there. It's always a super short line because they break it up into different time blocks.
Right. The other thing here that I want to just kind of step back just for a second before we get too much further ahead of this is your health questionnaire. So,
I always forget about that until I get the notification about it.
So usually like in the morning, I think, or maybe the day before, you'll get a notification. This is with every cruise line because it's a standard thing that you will need to fill out a health questionnaire. And it's just basic questions like,
and they've done this ever since before 2020. Like ever since we have done cruises, they do a health questionnaire.
It used to be, I think you used to have to fill it out as like a physical piece of paper.
It may have been.
And show it at the cruise port, like whenever you arrive.
There was one point in time where you had to like walk up to a desk and they asked you the questions and then they answered them, like you answered them on a tablet or whatever.
But now it's all digital again. You'll get that through the app. You fill that out.
There's also a safety video that comes with that as well.
Some cruise lines, yes.
Some cruise lines.
If you don't get that health questionnaire, you don't see it come through, it's not the end of the world. They will see that whenever you go to do physical check-in later, they'll ask you those questions. So, port arrival time. We've done health questionnaire. We're at the port. We're pulling up. Taylor and I's port arrival time is...
I don't know.
I'm going to say 11:15, I think, is our port arrival time for the Disney Dream.
It's around 11.
So, now, will Taylor and I arrive to the port before 11:15? We 100% will. But we're not.
However,
we're not arriving early to try and get onto the ship before anybody else. You have to remember something that Taylor and I, we are those annoying content creators. So we get there early so that I can go.
11:30 is our port arrival.
Okay, so we'll get there early so that I can go up to the top of the garage. Usually film a talking head from up there. Where, of course, it's our first time in Fort Lauderdale, so we might not have this opportunity, but. Usually we'll film like a talking head so that we can see, I can stand in front of the ship. You can see the ship in the background. And we can just talk about Embarkation Day process a little bit and what we're going to do. I did this when we were at Port Canaveral. I walked out in front of the Disney sign. Excuse me. So, we're getting in there early just so that we have time to film things that we need to film. But we're not being a nuisance to the cast members, as in trying to jump ahead and skip ahead and get into lines.
Yeah. So, and we also we try to be as respectful as possible. I feel like whenever we are filming, like if we feel like other people are uncomfortable or whatever, that's why we try to use a smaller camera when we're in a big crowd of people versus like whenever it's just the two of us up on top of the parking garage or just the two of us in a restaurant. Sometimes we use our bigger camera because there's not as many people around or as close to us. We're not getting there early because we know some tips and tricks that we're not telling anybody. Oh, we can get in here earlier.
Nope.
We get there earlier so that we can get parked. We can get our bags dropped. We can go get some content without having to feel rushed.
Right. And the thing too with Disney, specifically speaking, they are probably one of the only cruise lines that are like really hardcore about their port arrival times.
Yes.
If you have not sailed out of, again, we haven't done Fort Lauderdale yet. This will be our first time, but they did this in Southampton. We've seen them do this in Port Canaveral. I can't remember what it was like in Miami, but when we sailed out of there. But essentially, they're going to have...
Miami was in 2018. It's been a while.
I know. They're going to have queues set up. And on the queues, you'll see the signs that say, like arrival time 10:30 to 10:45, 10:45 to 11.
I think they're all 30-minute blocks or something.
Okay,
maybe.
Whatever. So
15 or 30-minute time blocks.
But they'll be set up like that. So if you do arrive earlier than what your time is, they may have a line set up for you. Already.
You can kind of like queue up and get ready for, once your time slot opens, they'll let you in and you'll be the first people in your group.
But I just want to stress to everybody that when you get to the port, and you can see the ship, there's now no reason at all to be stressed because you should have already checked to make sure that you got all of your documents.
Yep.
So those are good to go.
And keep your documents on your person. Do not have them in your checked bags that are going to go with the porters to get on this ship. Keep them with you.
So now, even if there's a delay, and oftentimes the delay is not necessarily always from like the cruise, sometimes it is customs that is just taking a while to do things. So if something happens and it gets delayed, listen, you're still going to get on your ship.
Yeah, as long as you're there before the all aboard time, you're fine.
So even if there's a little bit of delay, just remember you're getting on you're going to go take a vacation. It's going to be great. Make the most of it. Have a good time.
I mean, we've even seen when we were on, I think it was when we were on the Treasure, we literally saw the last people getting on the ship. And it was at like 3 o'clock, 2:30 or 3 o'clock.
I remember it was
they literally shut the doors behind the people.
Yes,
and but they knew they were coming and they're like, there's nobody else coming to get on the ship, so they shut the doors behind them because there was nobody left. Everybody was checked off the list. So
So just keep that in mind, because I always see every time it never fails. There's a guest who didn't have enough coffee. I'm usually one of those people that doesn't have enough coffee, but when it's Disney though, I'm not being rude to the cast members. Like, remember that, like, you know, they're just
literally
doing their
job.
They're doing the things that they got to do. If they don't necessarily always have the answers, right? So just stay calm, relax.
And don't post in your Facebook group later that I showed up for my port arrival time at 10 o'clock, but it was actually at 10:30 and they wouldn't let me on the ship until 10:45. Well, yeah, that's because your port arrival time was at 10:30, not at 10.
Right. So once we have gotten to the port, we've arrived at our official port arrival time.
Ours is 11:30 for this upcoming cruise.
We will now go into do a physical check-in. So the physical check-in, yes, it's almost the same thing as online check-in, but it's expedited because you've already done your online check-in. So they're just going to verify your documents. Make sure that the documents that you have in your hand are the same ones that you've uploaded.
Physical identification.
And they're going to make sure that you are you. So they may take another photo of you. I do find that that's just kind of annoying sometimes, but
I think that they do it if they think the quality isn't good enough, or if you look too different than the photo you uploaded, like your jail photo. It looked like a prison photo that you uploaded for our prison cruise. You had like this giant
prison cruise.
You looked like
our princess cruise.
I said you looked like a prisoner.
Yes.
For the princess cruise.
Right.
Finally, one of the security guys was like, yeah, we need to update this photo. And like literally laughed. He's like, this doesn't look like you anymore.
Yeah.
He's like, you had a lot of beard hair because he was shaven for our Japan cruise. So
yeah. So once you do the physical check-in though, it's usually very quick.
Yeah.
They're going to move you on up. They will probably tell you like what your boarding number is or whatever, but
yeah, most of the time they do.
But I think the boarding number is actually already on the QR code.
It just it depends. Cruise line to cruise line, that varies.
Yes, you're right. Sorry, I'm talking a little too much about Disney because that's the way I've
For Disney, we're boarding group 5.
Okay, yeah.
But in the boarding process, once it starts, it's pretty quick.
Right. Now, here's something else that I will throw out there for you. If you have been on a couple of like Disney cruises or whatever, or you don't necessarily care about getting on the ship like as soon as possible.
It doesn't even have to be Disney. If you've been on a couple cruises.
Sure. If you just want to get on the ship and not have to like deal with a bunch of other people there at the port who show up way too early and they shouldn't be there, actually just come a little later. Like come a little bit closer to 1 o'clock.
Right.
And it'll be dead.
Even if your time to board, if you picked the earliest time of like 11 o'clock or 10:30 or whatever it happens to be for your sailing, no matter what cruise line, and you're just like, I want to sleep in and I don't really want to have to deal with a crowd of people, you can literally come, like Josh said, at like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, whatever, is later in the afternoon. There will be nobody else there.
Right.
Like they get the process going as fast as possible. You know, there will be other people there, but like very minimal amount of people. And you can just stroll on. So you don't have to show up at your time. You can, as long as you are after your time. They don't care what time you get there, as long as it's before all aboard, of course.
So we've done our online check-in. We've done port arrival. We're at the port. We've done physical check-in, whatever.
And don't forget, I don't know if you really mentioned that you can drop your bags. And most of the time they actually have you drop your bags before you drive your car up into the parking garage.
It depends on the port, but yes.
It does depend on the port. Most of the ports have a parking garage, and you will drop your bags before you drive up into the garage. Some of them you actually park and then bring your bags down. Right. It just depends. But if you can drop your bags off at the curb or like leave one guest with the bags.
If you're coming via like Uber or something like that, that's what will happen. You'll drop your bags at the drop-off area. There'll be porters there. They'll take your bags.
Yeah, make sure you drop your bags. Have luggage tags on them if you got them in the mail. If not, or printed them, either way. If you didn't get those luggage tags, they will have them there.
Yep. Make
sure you drop those bags. Keep your important like medication, sunscreen, sunglasses, depending what cruise you're doing, and your important documents with you. So then that way when it's your port arrival time, you go inside, you do that physical check-in, you go through security, which is typically the next step, if not before the physical check-in.
And so once you do that, usually you might have to like hang out and wait a little bit in like a holding area. And again, that's where I see a lot of people getting really frustrated. You know, maybe everybody's supposed to start boarding at 11 and now it's like 11:05, now it's like 11:10 and like the boarding process hasn't started. Like, you know, like remember.
They're making sure the ship is clean and ready to go.
You will get on the ship. It is very, very unlikely and exceptionally rare that they would cancel that sailing while you're sitting there waiting to get on the ship.
Oh my gosh, why would you just say
I'm just saying
that
because it does happen. It has happened to people before. It actually just happened with the Icon of the Seas, I think, or Utopia, one of those.
Did it really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I gotta look that up. I didn't see that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
I've been so focused and zoned in editing photos this past week that
and no, I mean it was like a couple months ago, I think, something like that. But
I don't recall.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it does happen. But once you get onto the ship, the most important thing that you should do, this does not apply to Disney because Disney is stuck in their old ways, which is stupid. I have no problem saying that out loud. Is doing your muster station drill. So on basically every other cruise line now, this is a very informal process where you will go to your muster station.
Basically, as soon as you get on the ship, this is the first thing you should do.
And they will physically check you in, and you can watch a video on your TV in your stateroom. There'll probably have been a video for you to watch on the app. You watch that, you're good to go. They may tell you real quickly some general information like there's no life vest in your room. You come to this muster station, we will have the life vest for you, and you put it on then. Or they'll tell you like, don't bring your valuables with you. Leave all of the things that are most important to you back in your room so that you never see them again.
All the merchandise that you just purchased for hundreds of dollars, leave it in your room.
Right. So go ahead and do that. Now on Disney, that's not the case because they do a muster station at
it's like 4:00.
4:00, yeah. So
3:45, something like that.
So with that being said, when you get on the ship with Disney, it's a great opportunity for you to, number one, you can do a couple of different things, but you can go explore if you want. Depending on what time it is, you might want to go get some food. You're going to have two different options, the buffet or the sit down.
Yeah, they'll have one of the main dining restaurants open.
But it's also a great opportunity too to go to guest services and see about getting a reservation for something if you weren't able to get something.
He must be warm from the sun.
Probably. Breathing heavy. So, yeah, I mean, once you're on the ship, obviously your nerves are probably a lot less fried. You're going to be a lot more relaxed.
Agreed.
Passing it over.
It's just funny. Typically, depending what time we get on the ship, which is normally a little bit after 11, the buffet normally opens around 11 or 11:30. So we will go up and we like to eat first to kind of make sure we beat like the crowd of people. We'll eat and then we get up and then we go and we start walking around the ship. Kind of like what Josh said, but like that's kind of just like our tradition. And this tradition actually started with my Aunt Tina and Uncle Jim because they had been on cruises before we did. And so the first time we ever did a cruise, they were on the cruise with us. There was like 13 of us, I think, went together for the first time. And well, not their first time. And they were like, we're going to get on the ship. We're going to go eat at the buffet. And then we're going to go walk around the ship and see where everything's at. And we're like, okay, because we didn't know what we were doing. And like, so every time since then, that's like what we do when we get on a ship. And then plus, depending on the cruise line, we'll go do our muster station first. Then we'll go eat. Then we'll go tour the ship.
And the other thing too is like, don't think that you got to like remember where everything's at because you won't remember where everything is at all.
And all of the apps for the cruise lines have a map of the ship and every deck. And then near the elevators, you can always see like where things are at on the ship.
Yeah. It's also a good opportunity to purchase any packages that you didn't get beforehand that you've now regretted not purchasing beforehand with a discount. A prime example for us is usually like a water package with Norwegian. So unlike
Will you add that for Hawaii, please?
Yeah.
Wait, I think water's included in Hawaii.
Oh, I think you're right.
I think it is.
So unlike Royal Caribbean includes water with their beverage packages. Norwegian does not for most of their packages, except for Hawaii, apparently. So you actually will have to buy bottled water if you want that. It is exceptionally expensive, which is super frustrating. But You can also just get like a glass of ice water, from the bar or something like that.
It's just so that you like have some in your room or to take out on excursions or whatever. When you're in the Mediterranean in the summer, you need the water package.
Yeah, you do.
And you'll drink it all.
Also, this is also a good opportunity to make sure that whatever device that you have is connecting to the Wi-Fi. Now, I will say that guest services line can be a little bit long that day of embarkation, and so can like the Wi-Fi people.
Wait, so we're on the ship now, right?
Right.
Did you say about how like they call out boarding numbers?
I didn't say that. I kind of just thought that kind of made sense.
Well, some people just have no idea, though.
Right. If you have a boarding group number, obviously,
you will have a boarding group number.
You can't go until
they call it.
That's not true. You might not have a number. You might have a letter.
Oh yeah, sometimes it's a letter.
Princess does letters and numbers, so that is important to know. But for the most part, once you're on the ship, it's pretty easy going. So. Another question I see asked a lot is like, can we enjoy the pool or the water slides or other activities? Yes, you absolutely can.
Some people do pack a swimsuit in like their carry-on bag. So you can have, most cruise lines will let you check 2 bags onto the ship, and then you can you can really bring as many carry-ons as you want. Ask my grandma.
Ask me, Mom.
She brings about 5 or 6 carry-ons and then has other people carry them for her.
Yeah. She does.
But whatever, you can bring carry-ons. If you, like I said, bring sunglasses and sunscreen if it's like a Caribbean or hot weather cruise. You can also bring your swimsuit if you do want to swim when you get on the ship.
Yeah.
You'll have to change in like one of the bathrooms because your stateroom will not be ready. That is something else to just keep in mind. Don't get on the ship and think you're going to go straight to your stateroom because they are typically not ready yet.
If you've done an earlier boarding.
Yes, if you've done an early boarding. If you decide you're not coming till late or you've got a later boarding time, staterooms will be ready like later in the afternoon.
I want to say normally they're like between, cruise lines usually have the rooms ready between like 1 and 2 o'clock. Depends on the cruise. Sometimes they're a little bit closer to 2. Yeah. But it's usually between 1 and 2 o'clock.
And they'll have all the doorways will be shut into the staterooms and like the stairwell elevator area. They sometimes will have like a rope across there because they don't want you going back in there because then you're kind of just getting in the way of housekeeping that's trying to get those rooms ready for everybody.
And some cruise lines, I don't think Disney does this, but I think Princess did do this when we were on there. They will actually have an area where you can go and just drop off some of the bags that you carried on. So if you don't want to carry those around...
Does Disney do that?
I don't know if Disney does that, but Princess does that.
Do the other cruise lines do that?
Princess does that.
Wow.
When we got on the ship, they had, I think it was at like with the wheelhouse.
Oh, yeah.
You could walk your bags in and leave them there, and you could come back and get them later if you wanted to. I don't know if they were taking them to the room, but I definitely know that you could leave them and come back for them later.
Instead of having to drag your stuff around the ship.
Yeah, because I mean, it is kind of, frustrating for some people. I always find it really interesting when we get comments on our videos of people saying like, why are you walking around with this giant backpack on the ship for embarkation day? And like, people don't understand, again, as I was explaining earlier, that we get to the port early so that we can record and get some footage for things.
How do you think we're making these videos? What do you think's in the backpack?
Right. So, like my laptop's in there.
Literally camera gear and tech stuff.
Other cameras, like it's all kinds of stuff. So
yeah.
Obviously I'm not going to give that to porters. Not that I don't trust them, but
we don't want anything to be broken.
I don't want anything to break.
Just in case, because that stuff's fragile.
Yeah.
Fragile.
So some cruise lines will have that. Not all cruise lines do that. So it's best to check. I don't think that Disney does that.
Sorry, we keep bringing up Disney because our upcoming cruise is a Disney cruise.
Right. Well, that's why I said that.
I know. I feel like
introduce the podcast.
I know. I just feel like we've mentioned it a lot.
Right. And I think everybody will get that, right? I mean, we're getting on. That's what we're talking about.
And another thing, whenever you're walking around on embarkation day, exploring the ship, waiting for your stateroom to be ready, besides eating, besides just touring the ship, you can actually also go tour the spa on any of the cruise lines. And that's a great opportunity if you weren't sure if you wanted to do anything on the ship. You can go see the spot, just walk right in and just, if they ask if you want to book any services, if they that you want to book something, you can go ahead and book it. Or you can just say, I would just like a tour of the spa and the fitness center or whatever. And they'll just take you on a full tour. Some of the cruise lines will let you wander around by yourself, but most of the time they'll have somebody that works there tour you around. You can also go, most cruise lines have kids clubs. If you and your kids want to see the kids clubs, or if you don't have kids like us and you want to see the kids clubs, this is the perfect opportunity to do that as well.
Want to see what fun you're missing out on?
It's open house on Embarkation Day up until sail away. So you can go and be toured around by the kids club crew.
Yeah. Also, so with Disney, you would go to the main dining desk to look at dining reservations. Other cruise lines, you can just go right to the restaurants.
Yeah.
Now, something else that we didn't talk about in the beginning, which is kind of something that you should really consider before you get to the cruise itself, for Embarkation Day, are prohibited items.
Oh my gosh. We literally think the same, because I'm literally sitting here like, oh, we need to talk about prohibited items.
Yeah. So the prohibited items list is different from cruise line to cruise line.
Yes.
Some cruise lines will allow you to bring on bottles of water. Disney is one of them. You could actually get a case of water and tag it, and they'll take it to your room on Embarkation Day. Other cruise lines like Norwegian will not allow you to do that. They won't allow you to bring on any beverages at all, I don't think, unless it's like something super specific, like for like baby formula types of things.
I am not 100% sure. I'd have to look, because it's very...
Yeah. But I think the other thing that a lot of people, and we saw a picture of this the other day in one of the Facebook groups, are Dyson hair dryers.
Oh, honey, you are so funny that you call it a Dyson hair blower, because it's the Dyson air wraps that people are stressed that they can't bring.
Whatever.
Or any Dyson hair product.
Right.
Not a blow dryer.
Yeah, whatever.
It's like the things that people curl their hair with and straighten their hair with these days. You cannot bring those on any cruise line. They will confiscate it, and it will be really funny. This is what they do with it. Any prohibited items that you do bring on the ship, be sure to review that for your cruise. It's in your cruise contract. There's also a link that will take you to the website and lists every single thing that you cannot bring on the ship. Be sure to review it, because if you bring these things on the cruise, even if you put them in your checked bag or your carry-on bag, they will confiscate it, because your bags go through an x-ray machine. To get them back, they set them on a table with a number on it. Yeah. And there's nobody there watching that table. So anybody could walk by and take your $700 Dyson air wrap, just walk off with it. And then you go to get it and it's not there. So just don't bring it.
Yeah. And specifically with Disney, which is actually really funny, they will confiscate lightsabers. They will confiscate the droids that you build when you go to Disney World or Disneyland
so
beforehand.
Many droids.
You know, it is actually kind of crazy. So you do need to really study that list and make sure that you're not taking anything that is on that prohibited list, because they will take it.
Or just like things like that, if you can, mail them home so that you don't have to worry about not getting them back at the end because somebody decided to take it. Or it got broke or whatever. Right. The other thing with the prohibited items that we always see a ton of are steamers.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
We always see steamer, because when you exit the cruise terminal, the table is literally just sitting right outside the doors.
Right.
So literally everybody walks right by it. And I always remember seeing like a ton of steamers. Dyson air wraps is the next most popular thing on there. Extension cords, we've seen, if it's out of Orlando area, we've seen droids. No matter the cruise line, we've seen droids. And there's something else. Lots of extension cords.
Yeah, you said that.
I didn't say extension cords.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
What'd you just say? You literally just said extension cords. Or even power strips. I'll take power strips too. Yeah, that's okay.
Did I say that twice?
You did. Mm-hmm.
I don't think you did.
Drones are another thing too.
Oh yeah, no drones.
Some cruise lines, they'll let you take them on, but some won't. But alcohol is definitely a big one. Disney, you can bring on 2 bottles of 750 milliliters. I think it's 2 bottles. It might just be one now, but of wine.
It's 2. bottles.
a 6-pack of beer or cider. So you can bring that on, but if you bring anything else like, hard liquor, they will take that. I don't think that you're going to get that back at the end of the cruise.
I have no idea.
I know like Norwegian says that they will confiscate it and destroy it, but I'm pretty sure they're just adding it to their liquor cabinets for distribution on the ship. So
no, just check, because the prohibited items and then the few things that you can bring on cruise lines, just double check, because it varies from cruise line to cruise line. And they do have these listed on their website, very clearly written out what is allowed and what is not allowed.
Yeah. The other thing, I guess, with Embarkation Day is the other thing that stresses a lot of people out once they're on the ship is their luggage.
Yes.
And it arriving to their room. And what they feel is a swift amount of time. And sometimes it doesn't come that quickly. Depending
ask Alan.
Right. Poor Alan one time. We were already setting sail. And
I'll never forget Ovation of the Seas. He was running around.
I think we were like 2 hours into the trip already, and no luggage had showed up yet.
It was just on the wrong deck. It was there.
Yeah. So sometimes if you do happen to like change rooms last minute, let's say if you do like a room bid or like
for
an upgrade.
Or if you booked a guaranteed room and you didn't get your actual room assigned till last minute.
Sometimes that kind of will put some delays in when your luggage will get there. But as long as you drop it off with the porters, 99 times out of 100, it's making its way onto the ship, and it's on there somewhere.
I think it would be more than 99 times out of 100.
99.9.
Just think, it's a lot. It's going to get to your room.
I mean, it's like less than one.
As long as you drop it with the porters and it has a luggage tag on it for that cruise.
Yeah.
Like that has the dates and the sailing name on it that they give you from the cruise line.
Yeah. More than likely, it will arrive to your room before dinner. So I know, I think there was one time when Taylor and I did not get our bags until pretty close to dinner time. It took quite a while.
I changed real fast.
Yeah. Because we do like to have a different outfit for dinner each night. So
you don't have to do that, but I like to do it.
But it will get there. So don't stress too much about that. It's not a huge deal. It'll be there. But other than that, I think that's pretty much like the Embarkation Day type of process. Again, it is really, really simple. It is really straightforward. It's very, very easy. And I know, personal experience, I used to get really stressed out about it too. But,
that's an understatement.
Once you are at when you can physically see the ship right there, there's just no need to be stressed or anxious anymore. It's just time to be excited.
Well, as long as it's not past
full of joy,
all aboard time, and it's already setting sail.
Well,
and then you showed up.
Yes, of course.
I had to throw in some drama there. Well, I think a few of the main things that you just need to know about Embarkation Day is make sure you have your check-in process completed. You have your port arrival time.
Yep.
And if you have a QR code or a port arrival form, make sure you have that, whether it's saved onto your phone or you have it printed out. And don't make sure it's on more than just one phone. If you're traveling with multiple people, make sure everybody has it. That way you have copies. And then make sure that you have in your hands your identification, which should be your passport. Yep. And then obviously your phone. And let me think what else. Once you get on the ship, your muster station.
Yeah.
However you do your muster station. And then, of course, make sure that you had checked your luggage.
Yep.
You can get away with wearing the same outfit the whole week, but, you might want more clothes. Hey,
there have been talks where the cruise line has lost their luggage and the cruise line will pay for you to buy a bunch of new outfits from on board the ship. So,
I've seen mixed reviews on that recently. So.
Anyways,
main thing though, if you have your wallet with a credit card and a little bit of cash, you have your phone charger, your passport, you can survive the trip.
Right.
No problem. You can buy stuff if you need to buy it.
Yeah. So I think that's about it though. If you have something else that you'd like to add for Embarkation Day, something that people should think about, or tips or tricks, whatever, make sure to let us know in the comments. You can shoot us an email or send us a message on social media. But with that being said, my name is Josh.
And my name is Taylor.
We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.